Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and we also have
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
now we want to talk about all of that Spider-Man 3 news that's been you've been hearing on the web and you've been reading about it, and we've not only heard that Alfred Molina is going to be in there who played Dr. Octopus. Not only is it going to be all the Spider-Men from the Sam Raimi films, from the other for our favorite Andrew Garfield film, but they're also going to have in negotiation with talking with William Dafoe and also was it Thomas Haden Church. So, what are your thoughts about this before I tear this apart?
I'm not sure what's going on. I do know after they're saying that they're bringing these people back, there's certain people that I really never needed to see again or really want to see again. Others of them I'm a little curious about. So I guess the other part of me is like, is this necessary? What? And I guess the big underlining thing is what the hell is going on? And how bad is this going to fall on its face if it doesn't work? So they better have a really good idea.
Well, I think the idea of having fun is what they've been going for in this run of Marvel Studios Spider-Man films, having his the jokey parts with him in his head. Well, him talking to Tim talking to the AI in the first movie, then him going out of town, out of the country in the most recent Spider-Man movie. And now, since the success of Into the Spider-Verse, they decided they would give Spider-Man his own multiverse in the movie. So we'll be seeing everyone running around just like a wacky what is that? I liken it to because Marvel Comics and DC Comics have done alternate universes and stuff like that, and we've seen that from time to time. I always see it done best because it was such a surprise seeing it in the next generation. When they were talking about Enterprise D, and it was very, even though it was cerebral, it's very intense of them talking about the possibility of this alternate timeline for the Enterprise, and it was like wow. And since then, and you can see in all the Star Wars characters always run into their alternate universe versions. So now with the success of Into the Spider-Verse, where they just had fun with it, they just said, hey, we're animated, we're gonna have fun. It's like they did, and it was successful. Now we're getting another Spider-Verse, and then the Marvel universe is just starting to go into this multiverse when Marvel didn't really have a multiverse. They had some alternate timelines, they had Counter Earth, but they never really had a big multiverse that you had to really clean up or anything like that, or wanted to. Or stuff like Counter Earth, you didn't want to touch. You just want to take the High Evolutionary out and keep those villains, but not go to Counter Earth and see all these nutty characters.
Marvel did not have a multiverse, period.
So I mean, no, they had some other things going, not as big as that, but they had some alternate timelines that who
They
was
had
it?
what if.
No, well, no, what if isn't they mean only people like Kurt Busiek, he's kind of said, oh, this time this Avengers from the 50s, that was sort of it, but then it got X'd out. So you kind of see them try to do it, but it's never really caught on, and they keep trying to do it in certain ways. And to do it in the movies and kind of say these other movies were other timelines, I don't like that idea. I don't like the idea of,
Is
you
that
know,
what they're going to do?
there's no other, I mean, there's no, right now, I mean, we're here speculating. That's what we're here to do, right? So there's no other thing we can do where to say it's a possibility that they're utilizing these other timelines as, the same way the DC Crisis did. But they did it, we weren't necessarily expecting that. And then I think some of the things, even the Kingdom Come Superman, they would have ultimately used well they didn't want to touch the Bryan Singer Superman, so they're like, hey, let's put this guy in this outfit. But it's sort of like the other thing. So ultimately this sort of run of Spider-Man films, this kind of been going away from the Spider-Man, as Dick Ditko described them, being a ground level sort of character, having all this heavy cosmic stuff happening or multiverse possibly happening is a little much for me outside of I think one of my friends talked about it being like turning the television and seeing these other things where they could play with it like that. But who knows how they're going to actually play with these characters. If they can get all these people in there for a big end game type of Spider-Man 3, that I guess people didn't get enough of three main characters in Endgame. Why not put everyone Spider-Man's materializing in Spider, he said, on your left, and you have you have all those guys coming out. You have the Sandman coming out, and all to Spider-Man's dismay, though. So who knows? But it seems a little wacky, and it doesn't seem story. It seems more, well, hopefully there's a story there. It seems more of getting the news, and it's building the buzz. People are buzzing about it. So
hopefully there's a good story. Hopefully there's a good story. I'm certain there's a story. Hopefully there's a good one.
Because they still got to, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the speculation is this will clean up Spider-Man losing his secret identity, having another Spider-Man spin by Peter Parker. He said, oh, that's not the guy. And it's like,
what will it? Will it? Because these guys will do that. They'll bring in the other Spider-Man who will come in and say, yeah, it was really me. And then by the end of the movie, he'll still reveal himself anyway.
Yeah.
So you gotta hope that it actually does, that they respect the secret identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, Spider-Man ultimately, outside of Captain Stacy figuring it out, people guess that Robbie Robertson knew who he was. But outside of that, there wasn't too many people who knew his secret identity. And all the movies, except for the first ones, they never really had Aunt May figure it out. They had her, having them almost close to it. But then in these other ones, the second set of movies had, had Aunt May kind of say something's going on and what are you getting into? Because they sort of played up that stuff. Instead of the way the comic played it, when Peter Parker came into school all beat up, they're like, ah! That sort of thing. And you just think that the school is a bunch of jerks, which is what school is like, so we can just hope for the best. This hasn't been my cup of tea. I know you've enjoyed the Peter Parker and some of the Spider-Man stuff, so maybe there'll be something there to keep you tied in there in for this Spider-Man, for the finale of these Marvel Studio things, and seeing how it goes for the future of Spider-Man in general. Because the multiverse is happening over in Sony. There's a lot of stuff going on over there, and they're having fun.
Multiverse is happening where?
Not really. They just have multi-characters, Morbius. They got they got things going on. Things are brewing. Silver Sable, possibly the Black Cat. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on over there that they're trying to do. Venom 2. Maybe we'll get Venom. That's all I want to see. I want to see Spider-Man in the first Venom movie, because I watched it on the plane. I didn't go in the theater. And I said, if I would have saw it in the theater, I would have had fun there too. So I want to see, at least that's what I want. Get Venom into this Spider-Man movie in a big fight, and then we'll talk.
Oh, well, I enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm.
And the dynamic that they set up for Miles Morales, especially with bringing it, and I thought they did a pretty good job of bringing in the others. I thought they did an excellent job of bringing in the other alternate Spider-Man characters without sacrificing it being Miles Morales' story. And I also realized that you have to have Peter Parker in there if it's going to give any sort of legitimacy to Miles Morales without looking just like a total, like a ripoff. We just want to do this with Miles and no Pete. There has to be some sort of passing of the torch if it's gonna work at the end of the day, because whether people want to admit it or not, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. This guy over here, Miles Morales, would be Spider-Man in his universe, but you've got to have some sort of it's like the argument I've made with Legion of Superheroes for years. You have to have some sort of connection for that to work. Otherwise, it's just like a branch that just gets too far away from the trunk of the tree. It's just gonna wither away and die because it's not getting enough sustenance from that original foundation. So I thought that was pretty good. The films right now, I have no idea what they're gonna do, how they're gonna make it work. Normally, that would make me very cautious about whether or not this is something that I'm going to enjoy. But I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give these guys the benefit of the doubt for what's going on here. Even though I will say again, I never wanted to see any of these characters ever again. For the most part, I didn't need to see this Green Goblin again, or Doctor Octopus, or this Mary Jane. None of them. Didn't need to see any of them ever again. So, you know, I'm really hoping not just for a story, but for a good story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's something I want to do, but I mean, I guess that pretty much covers it. Um, Marvel Studios, they have a lot of stuff coming, and we're going to deal with a lot more of that stuff coming up next. Spinner Rack out.